Welcome to First and Goal, where everything is made up and the points don't matter. Get ready for the latest and hottest topics in the SML. Let's get started. Here's your host, Mad Bomber.
All right, SML, welcome back to First and Goal. This week, we've got the Thanos edition. We've got the entire Thanos club here. We've got Faz, we've got Clink, we've got DW, and we've even got QP. We somehow managed to sync up all the schedules, and we've got them all here. So how's everybody doing tonight?
Doing well. I'm glad to be here.
All right.
Well, credit DW for it.
We will, yeah. DW threw this whole thing together pretty quick, so...
we can't get a podcast together, but we can all get on here, so it works.
Maybe you guys just need a camera that everybody had to show up. I don't know. All right, so let's we'll get started, and we'll start with DW since he got this whole thing thrown together. So we're nearly 2 seasons in. Would you have picked a different team during the team draft? And if so, who? But if you wouldn't, who's someone else that you think wishes they would have picked a different team? And we'll start with you, DW.
Yeah, no, I love my team. I love everything about it. Problem with my team is user error. I suck right now. Can't do anything. I get a lead and I blow it immediately. But no, I absolutely love my team. I'm happy with where I got them. I think what was that, like 20th? I think. Do you remember, Bomber?
That was like 22, I think. Maybe.
Yeah, 20. I mean, Jets they're young. They got a lot of talent, and they got a lot of room for improvement. So I love it. I mean, I think they started off with like 77 overall, and they got them up to like an 83 overall right now. So can't complain there. But so I love my team. But to answer part 2 of that, I think someone, and I'm probably going to steal it from a couple other guys here on the panel, but Paulie, to me, is the one who I think wishes they wouldn't have picked that team, because we all know Paulie with his team building. He's a great dude, but dude cannot build a team. We know this. He took a win-now team, and now you can see what's happened in Season 2. I think he'll come through a little bit here, though, once his schedule comes a little bit more free, with he's done with his coaching and whatnot, but I think Paulie's definitely the one that wishes that they wouldn't have taken the team that they took.
Yeah, I could see that. Who do you got, Fast? Or if you wanted to change your team?
No, so I mean, obviously, we can't run the ball in Buffalo. We have no run blocking, but I still wouldn't change it because I don't care. We're just gonna huck it and chuck it with Josh, and it's just too fun to stop. As far as somebody who would change, I think I got to go with Colt and the Rams. I think he probably took them because they're a pretty high overall team, a lot of stars. He's probably cut half of them by now. So they've all been in free agency. He's ended up in a pretty tough division with Noel being better than expected, and with Dump over there with the Cardinals. So I'm thinking Colt. Maybe if he could do it again, maybe he'd go a little younger, or go with a team where he wouldn't end up cutting Cooper Kupp for no reason whatsoever.
Only to go back to Brissett. It's funny you pick Colt too, because that's the one that I thought he kind of, I don't know if it was a panic pick or what, but that was like the least Colt team I thought was out there in this 22.
Same.
And they went pretty early, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he had a decent pick. It was like low 20s, I think.
20, yeah, I think it was 20th exactly.
Yeah, there were still some good teams on the board.
All right, so Clink, what do you think?
So obviously for me, I didn't really have much of a choice. I would have loved for the Lions to fall to me. I think everybody saw me getting the Lions, but Q took them and has done really well with them. Way better than I would have done. So no hard feelings. So for me, I wanted to go up the board a little bit, and I went with Mike. And it's not because of the reasons you guys may think, well, it might be the reasons you think, but I don't know how, as a Colts fan, you can take that team and go 4-10 with them as they are right now. He hasn't done much as far as building them, as far as developing them. When it's your favorite team, to see them go in 4-10 and consistently losing in a very winnable division, I think he might be leaning that he should have gone somewhere else, even though this is the one chance he probably has to get them. Playing with them and knowing it's because of you that they're losing is never a fun thing.
Yeah, I think he kind of got almost guilted into that. Like, prime passes on him. There's no way he can. I don't think he ever thought it was going to happen. Q, what do you think?
I'm going to go with maybe a surprise as well. I'm going to go with Meats. He had a really high pick in the draft, and I don't know if you guys remember, but when Faz took the Bills, he has this kind of like a meme face where he had this like, oh no, I'm in trouble type of look. And I'm not going to say he's the guy that I would say regrets his team, because his team is good. It's his style. I mean, has a fast player, has a receiver. Has a lot of talent on there. He started his draft pretty good so far as well, but for the simple fact that he's not going to be usually getting a first opportunity even in his division ever.
Yeah.
And I feel like he could have dictated where he wanted to go, and it could have set the, motion for what he was going to do for this cycle, because now he's at best usually going to be competing for a 5th seed as his best seeding that he'll ever get. And that's never going to even be, it's going to be a good seed for that first round, but then you still run into somebody in the second. And I just think that he probably regrets being in a division with Faz, and probably didn't expect DW to give him as many problems as well. I'm not saying that he gave him problems, because actually I think he got a heartbreaker recently. I don't want to bring that up, DW.
I think too, yeah.
Tough to watch.
Yeah, and I don't regret my team as well. No,
that's perfect timing, because now we're gonna have the DW down. So a couple episodes ago, we introduced this because DW just loves to shit on everybody. So we have a whole down dedicated to DW and shitting on people. And we'll start with you, Faz, the SML nice guy. But who's done the least with the most? What guy, in your opinion, has done the least with the most? And feel free to just shit all over him.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, we'll see if we have to block it out. I know there's some high standards for this down. So I'm gonna roll with Baltimore. Obviously Spades gets the midseason call up, didn't get to pick his team, but you really couldn't ask for too much of a better team to come into on a call up situation. You get Lamar, you get Hollywood Brown, a lot of talent there. Didn't make a lot of noise in his first season. I don't remember if he snuck into playoffs. If he did, he dipped pretty quick. Had a very questionable offseason, obviously moving J.K. Dobbins and a first to get a running back that he ended up just deving up to try and get to be as good as Dobbins was in the first place. Didn't make a lot of moves to help out an aging defense that isn't that good, and when you watch them play, it gets a little uglier than they even look on paper. I think when he does win games, he wins them like 58-53. So obviously there's some issues in Baltimore, and I think with that team and with that base, I just expected to see a little more.
Okay. Especially coming off, I think he was a primer Super Bowl winner too. So
yeah, yep.
Clink, who's your guy, Clink?
Oh boy, you all know who I'm coming after. It's got to be Paulie. Paulie comes in with arguably the best team. I mean, it's a Super Bowl champion from the previous year. Madden loves their Super Bowl champions, always makes them ridiculously good. The Buccaneers have a fantastic team, even in real life. Super young, super developable, super buildable outside of, the quarterback, which you have to get something new in, which Paulie's doing this year by tanking the entire year. But when you have that good of a team, you really shouldn't be tanking ever. Trading for Spooky's pick set him up to have a high pick anyway. So why not go for it all? And after a first round exit, you got to think that he would have been a little salty, a little ready to come back for revenge this year. And all he's done is flop. Now, obviously, he's got his real life football that he's got to worry about. But, he's a good player, and he's sitting here at 3-10 right now.
Yep.
It's not where you want to be, and not where you want to do. Waste a year with such a good team.
All right, yeah, especially as QP's team's getting better over there. That NFC is going to get tougher and tougher. He had a head start and kind of blew it.
Yeah.
QP, who do you got?
I'm going back to the AFC North. I'm going to go with Matt. It's everybody's favorite to kind of pick on in a way, because his team is so damn good outside of the quarterback position. And if he just chose to get a third rounder, like how you guys say Dan did with his quarterback, or anybody, you could just go for anybody that is not Dwayne Haskins. You could try to start airing it out a little bit more. Najee's already a superstar. If you're determined to get him to an X factor and not develop anybody else, then I get it. But as he said, he faces 8 in the box at all times, and it's because he kind of brings that on himself. He doesn't air it out. He has a dangerous ass core. Like he has Chase Claypool. Juju Smith is not bad in Madden, especially because speed is not everything. I mean, it's important, but it's not everything. And then he's got a decent tight end as well with Najee in the passing game. So you could really have developed that offense, I think, by year 2, year 3 to be pretty hard to stop. And then you already have the guys on the defensive side like Minkah Fitzpatrick and TJ Watt and Cam Hayward and Devin Bush, all these guys that you have. And then he brought in that corner as well that he drafted. So he set himself up defensively, and he talks about wanting to keep the ball away from, the other guy's hand. And I get it. You could play game management football, but if you're already striving for 8 wins, as he constantly says, why not try to air it out and get your guys up in the offensive side?
Makes sense. And DW, to finish off the DW round, who are you going to shit on today?
Well, since this is my round, I'm going to bend the rules a little bit. I'm actually going to pick 2 guys here.
Might as well.
First one is Colt with the Rams. That team is loaded, absolutely loaded, and he hasn't done anything with it, and he's losing players. It's falling apart. But he lost Cooper Kupp and Hecker, I think, this year. Wasn't that?
Yep. He didn't lose them. He just gave them away.
Yeah, tough to say lost them.
Same difference, but just terrible decisions there. And then the guy I love Fig. I love him. Great dude. But, dude, come on, man. That 49ers team is loaded. You should be winning at least 7 to 10 games a season, and you're always 4 or 5 wins. But come on, man. Just don't trade away Trey Lance. Please, just don't do it. You're going to ruin that team. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. And
don't do it to the NFC. Don't do it to the NFC if you do it.
Don't do it to the AFC either.
Because it's inevitable. It's inevitable that you're going to. So do it to the AFC.
I figure at some point here we're going to have a Trey Lance watch where does he get that 84 overall or 85 overall where he can't be traded? Because up until then, everybody's going to be kind of on pins and needles waiting to see what happens. But that's it for the DW down. So we'll move on to third down. Clink, we'll have you lead off with this one. And it looks like Finns has the number 1 pick pretty much locked up for the second year in a row. We're going to probably rename that the Finns pick because he's pretty much just going to have it the whole time.
Oh, not my boy Finns.
Oh, yeah, he looks awful. And actually, that was going to be a different question. But we'll say he could go full tiny, right? He could take another quarterback and just try to stack his quarterbacks. But assuming he doesn't, what would be your advice to Finns to do with this number 1 pick to maybe get out of that spot next year?
Yeah, what I'd recommend to Finns is trade out, get a bunch of assets that you can have fun with. You aren't going to be winning a whole lot of games anytime soon, unfortunately. So get some players around that superstar quarterback, get some players on defense that can make plays for you, develop them up a little bit, and by season 6, 7, 8, you can be hoping to win 4 or 5 games at that point. But just have a good time with the team. Find guys that you like, find super speedy guys, find big power running backs that you can kind of bulldoze people with, like Chubb, like Najee just did to me. Just find guys that you enjoy and you enjoy playing, and that's really all you got to play for this year. And you're active enough that you'll get a higher team selection next year and get out of a death division that you're in right now.
Yeah, absolutely. QP?
I would say set this entire offseason towards defense. You already built your offense kind of where you want to go for the cycle. You got the QB you want. You have the running back that is, for this Madden, is a good running back to have. And then you have a really good receiving core, especially with that receiver that he just took this last year, Chance Young. So his offense is already set. There's nothing else that he can do. He has to try to limit his own turnovers and his own mistakes. He tries to make passes that I think that he probably shouldn't even try to throw in. If I was him, I'd try to just take check downs and run it and try to get 3 at least every single time they have the ball on offense. But this whole offseason, just dedicated to drafting defense. Go for defense in the free agency, because if you can try to stop them and hold them to 3 scores, maybe you can get 24 points and win the game. So,
okay. DW?
Yeah, I'm going to play off both their answers. I would say look at your team and draft positions that you need. Don't draft the best off the board. That's just my opinion. I would build that team up. We saw KJ do it last year. KJ struggled the first 3 or 4 seasons. I think it was like season 5 or 6 when he finally went on a run. There's no reason Finns can't do that. I think that if he just starts, building from the bottom up, exactly with what Clink said, but get some players that you like. Obviously, it's going to be hard to win anything. But definitely look at your freaking roster and draft where you need guys. Don't just draft, the prettiest, looking player that's at the top of the board if you already have somebody at that position. It's just a waste. So that's my advice.
All right, Faz, what about you?
Yeah, so I think, the question here, if he does go full tiny and take a quarterback, does he then go full fig and completely defend it? But really, I mean, Finn's in a good spot. I will say that, I don't think there's many ways he can go wrong where he is. If he holds it, I think he'll still be okay because he did such a good job drafting last season. The team's, pretty young, pretty good. Like Q was saying, the offense is built. He's got the quarterback. He's got, the running back and Wanga, whatever his name is. 1,000 good receivers. So the offense is in a great spot. I would try and trade out. I would try and get at least a pick, another superstar player. That way you don't take the chance of missing. But I'd be on the phone with NYT and I'd be on the phone with Pauly, two guys that desperately need a quarterback. Try and get something there that you can. Is that going to be Harper? I'm going to go with Harper. Yep. I know that bark. So try and get something you can count on. That way you don't have to, fully go through the draft. Still make sure you get a pick. That way it's not, just giving away the first overall. But I'm in the minority. I think Finns is going to be trouble. Season 5, Season 6, I think Finns is really going to start to give people some runs. He's not going to challenge for the division title. He might not even challenge for a wild card. But I think you're going to start seeing some very competitive games out of Finns. He's going to have the tape on Prime, on J Smooth, on Dan. I think we're going to be surprised. Season 5, 6, and later, we're going to be surprised with Finns.
Maybe playing spoiler to playoff guys.
Play some spoiler, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm all on board with Finns.
All right. Yeah, I kind of like your idea, the playing NYT and Pauly off each other. Right now, yep. I think Pauly's the one you want to go for. He's tanking. He's got Spooky's pick. He's gonna have 2 top 5 picks, but he's not gonna have the number 1 pick, and that means the top quarterback goes to wherever Finn says it goes to. And,
exactly, and those top 5. 2 top 5 picks might not mean a lot if NYT swoops in and takes the best quarterback.
Exactly. So I think
you can really play that up.
My only question is, if he's already got the stud quarterback, why trade him though?
No, trade the number 1
pick.
No,
the first overall. Trade the pick.
If I'm Finns, I'm
calling
up Pauly and I'm saying I want both number 1s and I want Devin White.
I would say the same, something like that too.
Yeah.
Don't settle.
Devin White's just the star, settle. And you want the number 1 pick to get that superstar quarterback. You're going to pay me. I want both number 1s, and I want Devin White, and
give him Alexander Johnson in return.
And if Pauly's sitting there at 3 and 5, and there's one good quarterback, that's a real shame to tank and then end up taking a defensive end or something because you couldn't get a quarterback that you wanted.
Yeah.
So he's got to.
And both teams are in the spot where they're both so good they have to have the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like you can't, as teams we're obviously about to talk about the NFC a little more. But you're in a spot there where you can't afford to fall back in the arms race. So they need to make it happen.
Yep, absolutely. So QP, final question, and you're one of our NFC guys on here, and so this actually really pertains to you. But after seeing Dump kind of take a step backwards this season, hell, he might not even win the division right now the way it's looking. Noel's kind of pushing him for that division. Do you think the window where he had the best team and the best chance at making the Super Bowl, do you think that window's kind of closed already?
I don't think the window is necessarily closed. I think it has gotten smaller because I think we've seen his offense for what it's going to be for the cycle. I think that you can't really get better offensively on his team. He already has the X factor. Murray, he can get Pollard to an X factor, but Pollard is already a 95 speed. We see how dangerous he looks. He already has Rondale Moore, who's fast, and DeAndre Hopkins. His offense isn't going to get much different. If it does, it won't be, a lot. It won't be much. I think defensively, if he doesn't build it, I do think his window does close a little more because the guys like Klink, obviously myself, if Pauly gets himself a quarterback, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard for him, and especially when he kind of gets repetitive, if people start beating him or if he gets in his own head, he does fall off and take a step back. There is such thing as a quiet dump in the cycle, and he does go through his little ruts where he might not feel like he's in the mood to play. And a few games have come out, and he mentioned he wants to play those new video games as well. So you never know. His focus might be going elsewhere.
All right. What about you, DW? What do you think about him?
I think his window is closed slightly, but I still think that NFC is wide open. You're looking at 2 guys in this panel right now that are going to make the playoffs almost every single year in the NFC. And yes, Noel is giving him a run for his money, but Dump. We've seen Dump do this before. I think that his team is still so good that I think that he won't have any problems competing, and I don't think it's closed that much. I still think he'll have a chance at reaching that Super Bowl again.
All right, Faz, how about you? You played him quite a bit last year.
Yeah, so his window will never be closed just because of Kyler. Even if nothing else happens, Kyler will keep his window open the entire cycle. The guy is, an absolute freak. As far as the, differential in rosters, yeah, that's slipping. And that was going to be something that, we all kind of said it in season 1. That was his big advantage over everybody else. Is just that, right now there were very few teams that could hang with him. As you start to look at the NFC, Q is catching up, by the day with that Lions team as they develop. Klink no longer is going to have the rookie quarterback problems going forward, and we've already seen what his defense can do. Paulie coming out of, football season, he's going to have more time, most likely going to have some kind of, quarterback to start building. So he's losing ground in the NFC quickly, and honestly, he's losing ground in the AFC too. Bomber, as your team, obviously you're a very good team builder. Prime, Dan, myself, our teams are all going to be getting better. Yep. So, his window's never going to be shut. But I would say that after this season, I don't think he would, really be favored in any season after this one.
Okay. And Klink, what about you? You're over there in the NFC.
Yeah, I'd love to say it's closed. But I think, one, cocky dump is good for the league, as Faz always says.
Yep.
So I'll take that from him. And like Faz said also, I mean, Kyler just he's so difficult to stop. He makes any team. I mean, I've watched a bunch of his streams and be able to roll out on the edge, stop and hit some guy on a dart running up the field, or squeeze something into a window that's users lurking down on, but Kyler can just squeeze it right through a small gap. He's shown that he will be able to compete like that for a long time. I do agree with Q, though, that from last cycle, he's shown that he gets disinterested in the game at times. So there will be seasons, I imagine, where he just completely flops. I didn't really pay attention to how his team building was last year or last cycle with the 49ers, but I don't remember them being that bad. I know he didn't add a whole lot of pieces that he developed other than, Edens last year?
Yeah.
The rest of the team was pretty much the same. So it'll be interesting to see how he can continue to build this Cardinals team. But the one benefit for him is that they're already young. Outside of DeAndre Hopkins, they're already pretty much ready to rumble. And, with that, I think it's at least a couple more years if he ends up blowing it up, that it'll be before it closes completely.
Yeah, interesting to see what he does with that defensive line once he loses Chandler Jones and J.J. Watt. That'll be a big one. But that's going to do it for this week's episode. And this week we've got DW in the shocking win. 91 points.
Nice.
Just edged out Klink, who had 90.8. So.
0.8.
Yep. DW, these 30 seconds are all yours.
Well, hey, I appreciate it. Happy to get all of my, fellow Thanos Club members here. We can't get together for a podcast, but hey, we can do first and goal. It's all matters, right? That's right. We're getting there. But no, man, I'm excited for this. I really like this DW down thing too. It's kind of fun. But yeah, thank you for the win. That's it.
All right, yeah, I bet you do like that. But all right, guys, thanks for being on. Had the entire Thanos Club on. Till next week, this has been First and Goal.
Thanks for listening to First and Goal. Be sure to check out Mad Bomber TV on Twitch and YouTube for the latest from the SML. And we'll see you next time on First and Goal.